Hey everybody, what's going on? Goofy Rexy here. Hope everybody is doing well. And if you are a newer player here coming to Marvel Strike Force and you're trying to figure out the best teams to target or the best success here in the game, then this is definitely going to be the right video for you here. In this video, we are going to talk about the top free-to-play beginner teams here in Marvel Strike Force. These are the easy to acquire teams that provide the best value, I believe, for your roster in this game. So if you're a player that's at level 1 or at level 75, this is definitely going to be a video that you're going to want to hear about here. So if you're ready for it, guys, let's get into it right now. All right, guys, welcome back. And as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the top of free-to-play beginner teams here in Marvel Strike Force. But before we dive right into it, I do want to say this. These are not the only characters and the only teams that you can invest into. What I think is that these are the ones that provide the most value. So, of course, play the game however you desire. Use this as sort of a guide. But if you want to make some modifications because you feel better about some other characters, I do understand. But like I said, put a lot of thought into this here. So hopefully it'll be some good information for you. I want to first start off by talking about the Wave 1 Avengers team. I think this is going to be your best beginner team here in Marvel Strike Force. But let's first talk about, where you can kind of get these characters, right? So Hulk is available in the achievements for your daily achievements every single day. Thor and Captain America. If you're a brand new player, you are going to be able to get these characters by just logging in. They're going to have a login calendar for these characters. Iron Man is a legendary character, so you will need 3 shield characters in order to be able to unlock Iron Man. However, there's easy characters to be able to get, so you can get the stars for those characters to be able to unlock Iron Man. And then I would probably throw in here Black Widow for a beginner team, but just keep in mind that the characters that you're going to put higher investment into is going to be the 4 characters that are to the left here: Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America. Black Widow, you're probably going to taper off for investment from there. But these characters are very helpful, not just in the beginner portion of the game, but also in the later aspects of the game as well. So Captain America and Iron Man are a part of 2 separate raid teams. You're definitely going to want those raid teams later on as you start doing some higher content. Captain America is a part of the Rebirth team, but alongside Winter Soldier, Agent Venom, Captain Carter, and then also US Agent. 3 of those new characters, though, are not farmable as of yet. Only Winter Soldier is. So therefore, we're going to be talking about only Captain America and Winter Soldier here in this video. Iron Man is a part of the Bionic Avengers team, which is a raid team, a tech raid team later on for your Doom raids. That team can also be used for content to be able to unlock the legendary Archangel. And they're also, like I said, a very good raid team. Thor is also a part of a Hero Asgardian team that's not a raid team. They're a war team, but they can be used to unlock the legendary Red Hulk. And then Hulk himself is a part of that legendary team, the Gamma team that does have Red Hulk, which you're going to need later on to be able to unlock Apocalypse. So definitely a ton of value that you're going to be able to get earlier on in the game, but then also later too. They can be used for your Heroes campaign. They can be used for your ISO 8 campaign. I get a lot of questions on who should I use for the ISO 8 campaign? Well, this is definitely a team that you can use for that ISO 8 campaign, and know that if you're invested into them now, then you're going to also be able to get some value for them later on in the game as well, right? So hopefully that's going to be helpful information for you there. All right, the next team I want to talk about on this list here is going to be the Wakandan team. Primarily, though, we're going to be focusing on what I believe is a top trio for this team, which is going to be Black Panther, Shuri, and then Okoye. You can use those 3 characters to make other teams around, or you can plug and play them into some other teams that we're going to be talking about here on this list. So therefore, I think that those are the 3 that you're going to want to focus on. Now, I do want to still talk about Killmonger here, because Killmonger will provide you with a lot of value on your roster, because he is a character that you can use for 3 flash events in Marvel Strike Force. Because he does have the skill military tag, you can use him for one of the flash events for training mats. Because he has the Wakandan tag, with the Wakandan team, you can use them for Chaos Theory. And because he does also have the mercenary tag as well, you can use him for another flash event, which is called Payday, where you can get some additional gold for your roster. So it's still going to be a very useful character. But I think earlier on, I would say probably the top trio is definitely going to be Shuri, Black Panther, and Okoye. With that being said, Shuri is going to be a little tough to get, or not tough to get, but it's going to take a little time to be able to get her, because she is a legendary character. However, the characters that you do need to unlock Shuri are Spider-Verse characters, the characters that have the Spider-Verse tag, which you're going to be able to get access to a lot of those characters pretty early on. So therefore, it probably won't take as long as it used to before. She's also a permanent legendary, so therefore you're going to be able to target and go after her pretty early as well. But where I think you're going to find a lot of, you can use them for like the Heroes campaign too, but I think you're going to be able to get your Wave 1 Avengers a little bit faster. Where I think this team is going to provide value for you is once you unlock game modes like Cosmic Crucible, you're not really going to have a ton of teams that you can use there, but you can then use the Wakanda team because they were built and made for Cosmic Crucible, so you can get a lot of value from them there. Also, there are some Greek raids where you can use the full Wakandan team as well. And then there is the War Dogs team, which consists of Black Panther 1MM and then Nakia. I'm not really talking about those characters because those two characters, MM and then also Nakia, are not free to play friendly right now because they're not farmable. So really it's just the characters that are at the top, and primarily Black Panther, Shuri, and Okoye. But yes, there is a War Dogs team that does have those two new characters that you can use them for later. You can also use this Wakandan team as well for a Scourge event, where you get a legendary Scourge event where you can unlock Archangel. And there's probably other valuable areas where you can use this team as well. I'm probably not thinking off the top of my head, but definitely I would say good investment earlier on for your roster. All right, the next team I want to talk about here on this list are the Young Avengers team. Now, primarily, once again, we're going to have some focuses here. Squirrel Girl and Miss Marvel are going to be my focus. However, you can plug Miles, Spider-Man Miles, into this as well. Now, the full team is amazing. The full team consists of Squirrel Girl, America Chavez, Miss Marvel, Echo, and then Kate Bishop. But the reason why I'm kind of leaving off Echo, Chavez, Kate Bishop, because I don't think that you need them that earlier on. Yes, you will need them later, but you don't need them that earlier on in the onset. And I think that you can actually use Miss Marvel, Squirrel Girl as sort of a hybrid team with, let's say, Black Panther, Shuri, and Okoye. Or if you don't even have Shuri, you can then plug and play Miles, who's a part of the Web Warriors team. Or primary team is going to be the Web Warriors team for him, but you can still plug and play those characters together here to get some sort of synergy going on. A lot of that comes down to the fact that Miss Marvel synergizes very well with Hero Brawler characters, where she will assist on those Hero Brawler characters' turns, and then she will also call and assist from other Hero Brawler characters as well. So if you're looking at, Spider-Man Miles, who also does have the Young Avengers tag because he was previously a part of that team, he has the Hero Brawler tag, so he'll synergize very well with Squirrel Girl. And then there's a couple other characters too, but Black Panther, who we talked about earlier, he has the Hero Brawler tag, so then you're going to be able to get the assist synergy there. And then Black Panther also will gain an assist from Okoye too, as a part of his team. And then you also have some other characters that we haven't talked about yet, like OG Spider-Man, and then we also have Shang-Chi. So Shang-Chi is in the Blitz store, as well as OG Spider-Man is in the Blitz store. And then OG Spider-Man, of course, as you probably know already, you are getting for free right out of the onset here. So a couple ways that you can kind of make this thing work for you. Like I said, the full team, though, very good in war. They're going to be a good Cosmic Crucible team as well. And then for Scourge events, their main Scourge event, there's a Scourge event for Legendary Rogue, where you can use the Young Avengers team to be able to unlock that character too. So definitely a ton of value here that you can get from these characters. All right, and next on this list here, I want to talk about the Infinity Watch team. And once again, primary characters that we're going to be focusing on here are Nebula, Phyla-Vell, and then also Gamora. And the reason why I'm even mentioning these characters is a couple of reasons. So Nebula, Gamora, and Phyla-Vell, you can actually use for an early little arena team that you can put together. You can also use some of the other characters that I've mentioned before, but I think that Nebula, Phyla-Vell, and Gamora have such a strong synergy. Even at the end game level right now, these characters are still being used for meaningful content like Cosmic Crucible, Alliance War, there's a lot, Avengers Tower, there's a lot of good things that they still provide. Although they're not necessarily a top tier meta team, they still are a part of the meta, in my opinion. But Nebula, Gamora, and Phyla-Vell will be providing with some value in the early arena, but also you're going to need to do a Cosmic campaign, right? And these three characters here, I have the Cosmic tag. They will be able to be used there, and you're going to be able to get through that campaign stuff fairly easy. Nebula is a 15 shard unlock, so you can probably get lucky with some shards for her. Gamora is in the Blitz store, and then Phyla-Vell is I think she's in an earlier node now. Yeah, so she's in the Heroes 4-3, so a lot easier to be able to get. Actually, no. So to be fair, Phyla-Vell you can still get her from the arena store. I forgot that this Heroes campaign is a hard difficulty campaign, so may not be the best to try to get out of the Onslaught here, but still Gamora and Nebula can still work together pretty well. But if you're looking for some other cosmic options, there is also Doctor Strange Heartless, who is a part of the Darkhold team. That Darkhold team you will need to be able to use to unlock Apocalypse later on. I hope I had mentioned earlier too that the Gamma team is a team that you're going to need to unlock Apocalypse as well. I hope I had mentioned it. If I hadn't, I apologize. But yeah, Doctor Strange Heartless is a part of the Darkhold team. You're going to need that team to be able to unlock Apocalypse. Also, we've already also mentioned Thor, and then there's a couple other characters that do have the cosmic tag that you can use also, like Kestrel and Deathpool. Although they are not farmable, you can get those characters from the Milestone Orb, and you do get a lot of Milestone Orbs as you sort of kind of play the game here, so you could get lucky with some of the characters that are part of those two characters that are part of those orbs. All right, and then I wanted to segue really quickly here and talk a little bit about a Mystic team for your Mystic campaign. So for this year, so we've already talked about some of the characters. So once again, Doctor Strange Heartless is going to pop up here. As I mentioned, he is in that arena store. Thor is also going to be on this list too. He has a hero cosmic and mystic tag. So we've already talked about why that is valuable. Black Panther also does have the mystic tag, so we've already talked about him. Here we're gonna add on Scarlet Witch. So Scarlet Witch is in the arena store, but she's also part of this Darkhold team. This Darkhold team you will need in order to be able to unlock the legendary Apocalypse. So once again, early investment that's gonna yield you long-term dividend. And then there is also Mr. Negative, who we're going to talk about for villains as well. But Mr. Negative is a login calendar. It's not a login calendar, sorry, a web store login character that you can get 5-star from the MSF web store. You'll get 5 shards every single day for this character. It will take you 20 days in order to be able to unlock Mr. Negative, as he is a 100 shard unlock. So therefore, there is some value that you're going to be able to get from this character. So those are kind of the free-to-play options, not the only options, but what I think are the top free-to-play options that you can gain access to early enough in Marvel Strike Force. All right, and we didn't mention this a little bit earlier, but there are some other teams and characters that I want to just mention really quickly. They're not necessarily what I would say to go after right now, just based on where the game is. But the Secret Avenger team is still kind of a good team that I wanted to talk about here. There's Sharon Carter, that's Maria Hill, and it's also Captain America Sam. I think Captain America Sam is fantastic, but Captain America Sam is later on in the Doom campaign. Maria Hill is in the War store, and then you have Sharon Carter, who's in that Raid store. They're good characters that you can use as well whenever you do get them. And there's also still the Web Warriors. Now, players will say because of the Rebirth team, so the Web Warriors were a bio raid team, and the Rebirth team that has Captain America on it and Winter Soldier, that's going to be replacing them as a bio Doom raid team now. With that being said, that's more endgame. The Web Warriors, I still think, will provide some value for some earlier players because a lot of those characters are farmable, some of which we've already mentioned already, OG Spider-Man, and then also Spider-Man Miles. Those characters are farmable, as well as the other 3 characters that are part of that team. So I do think that it's worth mentioning them. You also will be able to use those characters to be able to unlock Morgan Le Fay in her Pestilence Scourge event. So I still feel like I needed to mention them at least. Although right now we're going to be segueing over into talking about villain characters, because this is where a lot of earlier players will struggle, because there's just not a plethora of options available to players in order for them to be able to get through the villains campaign. However, we've already talked about 2 characters that I'm going to mention here on this list. That is Mr. Negative, who we talked about already. You're going to be able to get in 20 days by just logging into the web store and grabbing your 5 shards. And then we talked about Doctor Strange Heartless, who's a part of that Darkhold team that you will need later on for the legendary not legendary Apocalypse, but for Apocalypse later on. So those are 2 characters that you already do have already. This is going to be sort of a list with our villain section is going to be where you're kind of pooling together a variety of characters to be able to kind of get through it, or you're going to pool together, like I said, 5 characters to be able to get through that content. So yeah, Mr. Negative, Doctor Strange, Heartless are mentions that we're going to talk about here. We've already also talked about Nebula, if you remember from earlier on. She will still work with this team. There's a few other characters that we can talk about too. There's Magneto, where you can actually use a legendary character, or the permanent legendary character as well. You can use X-Men characters or Brotherhood characters in order to be able to unlock him. He's pretty important late game because he's a part of that Dead Sea team, which is a raid team as well, a mutant raid team. But that team can also be used to unlock, that's going to be needed to unlock Apocalypse. So therefore, that is a good early investment that will yield you a long-term dividend as well. There's also Zemo, who I still like because of that Villains Chapter 7 campaign. Once you do get to Villains Chapter 7, you're going to need to 7-1, 7-2, 7-3. You're going to need a couple characters there, either Hydra, AIM, or Sinister Six characters. Baron Zemo has the Hydra tag, as well as Winter Soldier, who was a part of that Rebirth team, that Bio Doom Ray team that has Captain America on it as well. So therefore, it does make sense to kind of invest into Winter Soldier. And then we already talked a little bit about Killmonger, right, being a part of that Wakandan team. So therefore, Killmonger showing up again as being a character to consider. Although I will say that some of the characters are going to be going to be much more available to you very, very, very earlier on. Is going to be the Sinister Six team, and they can be useful up until you get to Villains Chapter 7-1. A lot of these characters are very accessible early. Rhino, Electro, they're in the Blitz store. Green Goblin is available in one of the earlier campaigns too, Villains Chapter 2-3. So it may take you a little while to be able to get there if you don't have good villain characters. You kind of just use the villain characters that you get earlier on in the game, and then you kind of build your way up to good villain characters that you put higher investment into as you go through Marvel Strike Force. All right, that's it, guys. I want to kind of conclude this by saying, obviously, of course, as you are playing Marvel Strike Force, there are going to be newer characters that are going to be introduced into the game. You want to focus on getting those newer characters if you can, or doing the best that you can in those events to be able to get charged for those characters, because those new characters are going to be better than some of the older characters, unless they rework the older characters as well, which of course you will be privy to that information as well as you continue to play Marvel Strike Force. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys here. If you need some more detail, please ask questions down below in the comments. If you found this video to be helpful and you would like to see more videos like this, where I go through beginner tips, or I go through some other things like top 10 lists, things of that nature as well, then like and subscribe to the channel here. Also hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live. And then down below in the description, there's a few of the links, one where you can join my Discord. There's also a Twitch link as well that's down there. And also social media, Twitter, Instagram, where you can also follow me as well. And then my Patreon is also down below. So if you're looking to support the channel or other ways to support the channel, my Patreon is just $1 a month for some support there. So take a look at that as well. But appreciate you guys watching the video. Until next time, guys, y'all be blessed. Y'all be safe.